Ron, thank you. All new at 5 o'clock. No tax increase, but a tight squeeze for the city of Memphis wallet.
Yeah, within the last few hours, Mayor Paul Young unveiled his budget proposal for the upcoming year, and he admits there was almost no wiggle room to make it happen. Action News 5's Imani Williams joining us live now with how his plan, Imani, is focusing heavily on the basics we all care about: smoother roads and keeping neighborhoods safe.
Yeah, this is Mayor Paul Young's third budget season as mayor, and there's a few takeaways. Like you said, no tax increases, and it's balanced in this proposed budget. But Mayor Paul Young, he did say that there were a lot of trade-offs when preparing this budget, like defunding or cutting funding for vacancies across several departments within the city of Memphis. Young says his team proposed this to show up for current employees, also proposing all employees within the city government, including union members, receive a 2% increase. He said all but one union has agreed to this. Young shared that the same sentiments as he did during budget season last year. It was challenging and there is no wiggle room. Revenue only grew 1% and costs increased by tens of millions of dollars. Now, $500 million is proposed for police and fire personnel. Last fiscal year, the mayor proposed $483 million for this line. It also includes $50 million for improving neighborhoods like pothole repair, street paving, $40 million for parks, centers, and libraries. Young said, although it was difficult, the proposal shows that his administration is listening to the concerns of the people.
And so I think this budget delivers on the things that we promised the people of Memphis. We promised to improve service, improve our roads, work to build back our population through the investment in more housing and infrastructure.
Now, during the presentation, not much was mentioned about MATA and about public transportation. So we know that MATA was in a large deficit and has struggled to keep leadership. But in an interview, Mayor Paul Young, he shared what is next for the transportation system. And I'll have all of that tonight at 6. Reporting live downtown, Imani Williams, Action News 5.